All right, so yesterday I went to a taco festival.
Okay.
All right, I'm excited. I'm here in taco festival. You're expecting big things. You're hearing 20 food trucks. You're hearing margaritas. You're hearing lucha libre. I was pretty excited. Even the venue itself was absolutely amazing. And then you get there, and it's not what you expected it to be at all.
They didn't have no street tacos?
Bro. So they were supposed to have 20 taco trucks. Okay, and unfortunately there were only 10. There were only 10, right? And by the time I showed up, there were maybe like 4, okay?
They got the chamoy though?
Chamoy, yo, I'm going to be honest with you. That's interesting that I'm Hispanic, bro. Chamoy, me no sabe, bro. I don't know. I've heard the term, like Tijon?
Yeah.
Like someone at home, a Hispanic viewer.
Tijon.
What's that?
It's Tijan.
There it is. A Hispanic viewer is definitely looking at me right now, be like, come on, Kev. What are you doing here? What are you doing here? So we get there. And, there's like all these massive lines and there's only 4 food trucks. And I'm like, wow, this kind of sucks. We paid $40 to get in here, right? Well, we're in here and we're looking around. We're checking things out. And I'm not huge into crystals. I don't know if you are.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not.
Yeah, neither am I. But my girl is. So, like, I'm like, great. All right. So, like, we're checking things out. And, I'm starting to, like, get a little bit of a feel for it. And I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool, right? So I'm speaking to this woman. We're having a great conversation. And, unfortunately, they didn't set up Wi-Fi or anything, so the vendors there couldn't make money. They couldn't make money. They didn't have no.
Oh, because they don't have square thing. Yeah.
Well, they had the square, but they didn't have service.
Yeah.
Bro, this is out in the middle of nowhere. Okay, like it's a nature area. It's absolutely beautiful, but it's like, come on, guys. Like, how'd you flop on that? How did the venue flop on that? Right? They didn't set up any ATMs. They didn't set up no Wi-Fi. So I felt terrible. But we're talking to this woman, and like I said, my girl, she's into crystals, so she's able to really resonate. And the woman wanted to hire her right on the spot. But anyway, it turns out that we're having a conversation, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, like I don't have any money. It's $10. I buy that for $10, right? So she's like, oh, it's okay, just take it. She's like,
man, that's love.
It was love. She was like, you guys are having a great conversation. And I had told her, she's like, I give away pieces all the time. Take it, it's yours. And I was like, you know what? I said, I just want to let you know something. This is the first one that I've ever collected, So I thought that was pretty unique and very, nice of her to do and to make it even special. It's like, all right, it was my first piece and that's how it came out, So my first piece is called, it's a lavender bright. Okay. And what's very unique about this piece is the streaks within the light. Do you see?
I do see.
You see the blue in there?
I do.
You know what I mean? So that's what we got there, So that was a pleasant experience. That was something that turned out a little bit negative, but it worked out in our favor. So we did that, and the next thing you know, there's lucha libre, and I'm like, oh, hold up, I'm like, there's some wrestling here. I'm not big into like WWE, although I will be going to a WWE event next week.
Yeah.
All right, for the first time. So I'm like, fuck it, it's gonna be over here at the Mohegan Sun. We're gonna check it out, have a good time, right?
Is it Raw or SmackDown?
Okay. Yeah, gotcha. SmackDown. Are you into?
When I was a youngin', I used to be. I'm not too much anymore. I did tie into this current past WrestleMania because apparently is the most historic WrestleMania of all time.
It was.
So I did watch a little bit of clips of that. It's funny because I was actually in Philly the night that was happening. I just didn't remember that it was happening that night.
Dude, I heard the streets in Philadelphia had like wrestling rings just like on the road, blocking things off.
I was only maybe like where I was staying, I was only like 10 minutes away from the spot, but like everything I was doing in Philly was on the opposite side of that area. So like I didn't have a reason to even go towards like the stadiums or anything. But I've been there plenty of times for basketball games and like the NBA games. And dude, I can just imagine because when there's an NBA game, the streets are packed. So I can just imagine when, WrestleMania comes to Pennsylvania for the first time in like at least 30, 40 years. Like, I can only imagine, dude.
Dude, people, I had people, the New Faces podcast, they're based out of there, and I just saw their clips and everything, and just watching WrestleMania, like, I was like, wait, I'm like, hold up, Rey Mysterio's still going?
Yeah, bro.
Like, how the
and
hell
his
is...
son, I saw his son's, Dominic Mysterio, yep.
Rey Mysterio's still going, his son is going, who else is going? Just old
Dude,
heads, like
Kofi.
Kofi.
The GOAT's still going.
That was pretty good, bro. That was actually really good.
Yeah, the GOAT's still going, man. He might got a little bald spot, but yeah, hey, we all age.
That bald spot is crazy.
It is. But,
So we're watching this Lucha Libre, and in the main event, was like a Royal Rumble type of shit, but like a battle royale. There's like 30 men in this freaking ring, right? This ring that's
At this
like
taco festival.
yes, and
Alright.
this ring you can see under the mat. It's like plywood, like one piece of plywood, just like laid on top of this mat, and I'm like, damn, bro, that's like got a lot of play to it. Like I'm surprised the middle doesn't fall in. But my favorite character at that whole event was there was a guy who was dressed up as Black Spider-Man. That was his wrestler, was the Black Spider-Man, right? And he's like in the final four, and I'm just there, I'm trying to entertain myself, and they start throwing him out. I'm like, Spider-Man, no, Spider-Man, no, and it was just so much fun, man. A lookalike, I guess I could say a lookalike, not really, a fat version of Jeff Hardy won the thing.
Damn.
Yeah, a fat version of Jeff Hardy. He had the hair, he had that netted shirt, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he did some crazy backflip for a big dude, so I was like, all right, that's pretty impressive.
Hopefully he never sees this podcast.
Yo, hey, maybe
he might feel some type of way. But hey, he literally, he compared you to another goat. So,
exactly,
hey,
Jeff Hardy, bro.
Even if you were a little bit overweight, it's all right, man.
Listen, I'll tell you what, I'm not doing that corkscrew backflip off the rope that he did. I'm not. There's no way in hell. So much respect to them.
I don't know how people do backflips.
I can do a backflip, but I can't do a front flip.
I can't. I'm not gonna say I can't. I just never put my mind to it. I'm too scared. Scared I'm gonna break my neck.
Nope, that's a reasonable scare, man. I don't blame you at all. But with that being said, everyone, that was my experience at the Taco Festival. Welcome to the Middleman Podcast. I am the man in the middle, Kevin Martinez. Today, I'm joined by Expose Toxicc. Welcome to the show, my man. Thank you Thank you for making a trip all the way out here, man. Where'd you come from?
I came from York, Pennsylvania. So it's about like a 2.5 hour drive, somewhere around there. Yep, made the drive this morning. So I'm here.
Well, I appreciate
wouldn't miss
you.
it.
I appreciate you so much for making the trip to come out. Moments like those, individuals like you, they make me feel, great because, we had expanded our brand out to different areas with basically trying, but you never know where you're going to end up. And then for someone to, have the drive to make it to the show, that means so much to me, bro. Because, people like have canceled in the past, people would just not respond the day of. And it's just like, wow. Like, that's crazy. So much credit to you. And right there, you can tell a lot by the character and by your drive that this is what you want to do and that you have to get on platforms such as mine to promote your music and spread the wealth and spread the love that you're trying to share through your music.
Yeah, no, for sure. I appreciate those words.
Of course, man. So why don't we just start off with how we met? I was reminiscing. I was just going through Instagram and I was like, all right, let me go and check out how we met. If I remember correctly, you had actually messaged me first.
I did.
Okay. May I ask how my platform came across your feed?
So I had a lot of shows last year that were in the Lancaster area. Lancaster, for anybody that doesn't know where York is, Lancaster is only about 25 minutes away. So we're between Lancaster and Harrisburg. It's a town called York. So I had a lot of shows in Lancaster last year, and between those shows, I was kind of like itching. I was like, I want to get on the stage again. So I just started like, I don't even remember what I typed in, but something on my IG. I just had a day of like networking, like in my schedule where I was like, I'm just gonna network today. And on IG, I started to find a bunch of like small shops in Lancaster that do like shows here and there, and then somewhere in the suggested, the Middleman Podcast popped up, and so I clicked on it, and I was like, is this local? And I think it says in your bio like Scranton or something said Scranton. Maybe I clicked on one of your posts and it said Scranton, Pennsylvania, and I was like, Scranton's not that far away. I was like, let me see if like this podcast is a serious podcast, because like I don't like giving my time to makeshift podcasts that people don't really like care about or like take their time. They kind of just do it because it's like a the thing to do.
It's
nowadays.
a fling. Yeah, it's a fling.
Yeah.
Someone had mentioned it's like podcasting is a new SoundCloud, pretty much. But we'll get.
But
to that.
within that is like individuals like yourself. What is in that is like people that really want to do this. Like people that like anybody could do SoundCloud and be like, I'm a rapper now just because you made one song or 5 songs. You're like, I'm a rapper now. But it's like, okay, but how serious are you? And like, are you dropping another 5 songs?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And usually they're not. So that's what I mean by like podcasts that don't take themselves serious. But yeah, so yours came up and I started watching a bunch of your clips, and I liked how genuine it felt just watching the clips. I was like, this guy seems like he really actually cares about it. So then I was like, I want to follow it. I want to get familiar with it. And then I think it was like maybe a month after I had followed you, I reached out to you and I was like, yeah, this is dope. I would love to be on it if you would have me.
Yes, that's exactly how the conversation went, bro. I remember you were kind enough to give me my flowers. You didn't even ask to get on a show first. You know, you were just kind enough to give me my flowers and be like, "Yo, bro, I love what you're doing with the podcast. Keep going, man. Love what you're building for the people." And then I had checked out your page, and actually, I was at work. And I was listening to music, and I was like, all right, well, he's a musical artist. I was like, let me click on his link here and just go to Spotify and press play and see what comes up. And I'm digesting your music because for me, I do care about the music world. I do care about individuals. But personally speaking, if I'm not a fan of your music, I'm sorry. I just won't have you on the show because why would I bullshit you and bullshit me if I didn't fuck with your music? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So your music is probably one of the most... just out of like my usual spectrum of music interviews, you were like a different flair and flavor to the music industry. So that's why I was like, oh, nah, this guy's doing it, especially on your social media page, which we'll get to later. But you're doing it on a different scale. And I was like appreciative of seeing all the work. You had mentioned SoundCloud rappers and, people who just put up like 5 songs and they consider themselves a rapper or whatever case may be. I have individuals like that who reach out and it's like, I'm sorry, like, I don't know if I'm willing to take that risk to see if you really are about what you are about. And it's just so hard, guys, to talk about 2 to 3 songs for an hour conversation. It just doesn't work out that way, Yeah. And then sometimes it's like they don't have enough experience under their belt in life. So it's like, all right, if we can't fill it with the music, at least maybe we could fill it with your life. But then there are some individuals who are like, oh, why'd you start making music? You kind of just... I like it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So nonetheless, I didn't see that from you. I saw, commitment. I saw legitimacy. I saw a lot of work and countless hours. And just from that initial reaction, I remember telling you that we were going to lock in after episode 100 because at that point we already closed out episode 100. And, here we are doubling back around like what, 3 months later, 4 months later.
Yep. Here we are.
So to everyone who I may have told you like, hey guys, like give me a minute, like, I will get back to you. This is a prime example of me getting back to you if I really do fucks with you. And, we stay in constant communication, whether it be you and I had never met a day in our lives, bro, but we continue to support each other's social media pages.
Yeah, for sure. And like a little message is like for any artist or creative that has reached out to him and he hasn't got back to you, use that as motivation to work harder to make him want to prioritize you over the other people first. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't let and that's not just for you. That's just for somebody. Don't let one opportunity hold you back from reaching thousands of opportunities. Like, you should just be working harder.
I agree with that completely. I take that personal. I've had some shows that I wanted to go on and they were like, oh, you got to pay $300 to get on a show. And I said, fuck you. I said, they'll just call me whenever I'm popping, bro. Whenever, I have something to offer them, I can bring some viewership to them.
Yep.
Then they will be like, oh, come on, man, come on the show. I'll be like, all right, I'll be there, but I will remember and I will say during the show, yeah, I remember trying to get on your show and you said no, and then I'll call people out, bro. That's just how
I'm the same way.
But then you told me no, and now here we are again. What changed? What changed? Yeah, I'm interviewing you on your show. What the fuck changed? You know what I mean? So
I'm the same way.
That's what it's all about, man. But that's our initial reaction. That's how we met. Now let's just get into you as an individual. Expose Toxicc is your artist name.
Yes,
may I ask where that name originated from, and also why there may be 2 C's at the end of Toxic? But I do have a little bit of I could take a jab as to why I think you named yourself that.
Okay, let me hear your jab
all right,
first.
Cool. Here's my jab. So Expose Toxicc, right? I was listening to interviews and I was hearing your music, and I felt like you were trying to expose the toxicity that you've experienced in your life through music. So that's why you chose that. You're not exposing... Well, you expose toxic within the world, but you expose toxic from a personal level, from an intricate level, from inside, So that is my opinion as to why you have chose that alias as your artist stage name. Okay,
you're very close. You're actually you kind of hit that nail right with the hammer, dude, or however the saying is said.
Yeah.
you hit that right on. Usually people don't understand it at all, but actually, so what it was is that when I started making music serious, because I've been making music for years now, but when I started taking it serious, I went by I was gonna go by my name, which is Zach. I was gonna go by Zach, but I was gonna turn the A upside down and make it a V.
Okay.
And I was just like, yeah, that's so hard. And then I was like, yo, okay, no, actually this is stupid. I was like, I'm not doing that. Nobody's gonna take me serious like that. So then I came up with toxic because in my past people would always say you're such a toxic individual and this and that, and in relationships people were calling me like toxic and like you're just an attention seeker and this and that, and those things were true for who I was at the
Mm.
time. Those things definitely were true. Obviously, these times that people were calling me this, I was in like my teenage high school years. Like I'm 26 now, so I've grown a lot as a person. I can't even believe the person that I was and who I am now. They're completely different people. But that's besides the point. So I just got called toxic so much that eventually I made my Instagram handle two random words, and those Instagram handle name was Toxic Jump Ships. And the current girl that I'm with now, her friends would call me toxic just based off of my Instagram handle.
Hmm.
So it wasn't like a negative thing, it was more like a positive thing.
Yes.
Excuse me. And they were like toxic, toxic, toxic this, and it kind of rung with me for the first time. It didn't feel negative, and I was like, okay, that toxic, toxic, that kind of has like a ring to it. I kind of like can identify as that in a positive way. So then when I first started making music serious, it was 2018. I decided after the Zach's incident, I was like, I'm gonna go by toxic, but I'm gonna do two C's because when people Google me, I don't want them to find Britney Spears toxic. I want them to find me.
Clever. Very smart.
So I did that for a year. Yes, a year. It's from 2018 to 2019. While I was in college for music, one of my professors were talking about how important it is to have a stage name that really stands out, and how some people like Travis Scott, like they use real people's names, but that's not actually their real name. You know what I mean? So, because Travis Scott's name is Jaquez Webster, that's his real name, but that don't
I
sound
didn't
like
know that. So
that don't
thanks.
sound like a real that don't sound like a real name. You know what
No.
I'm saying? Or like Drake, Aubrey Graham. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
but you use like a real name like Drake to make your artist name. So then I started to think, I was like, okay, well, I'm already identified as toxic for my small fan base. I was like, what if I just added expose in front of it, because I am exposing the things I went through in life.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm exposing myself. So that's also why my handles on in social media is exposing toxic, because
Yeah.
my social media is I'm exposing who I am.
Interesting, bro. I mean, I was close, very close.
You were
man.
very close.
So I
give you props. Nobody's ever come as close as that.
Hey, listen, man. That's what happens when you do your research, my friends.
Yeah.
And that's one of my favorite things to do is take a jab and make an assumption based off of the information that I've collected from just social media. Because like I'm telling these people, I'm like, yo, how do you prepare for the show, guys? I study people. Like you have no
That's how I
idea.
know you're serious.
Yeah, you have to study, bro, because like I'm able to pull these dimes of knowledge just out of my head, be like, oh, I remember reading that and seeing that, and now I shocked the person who's sitting in that chair, like, oh shit, how'd you know that? Well, I spent some hours. I legit spent hours looking up things,
I like that.
digesting music, digesting captions, little things, little really really small things to make people be like, oh shit. How did I that's a great question. So you were just saying how Expose Toxicc, right? Like it was who you were back then, the toxic part of it, and then now it's coming into a positive light. What is one of those things that you would probably tell the younger self, because to try, it's very interesting to try to use that, because toxic is usually with a very negative sense to it. So for you to look at it in a positive light at the age you are now, what would you have told the younger self of the younger you about just the word toxic and how to embrace it and how to embody it?
That's a great question. I don't know how to word my response, so I'm just gonna give what I would just tell my younger self overall, not just with the toxic thing. I would just tell my younger self to keep going, and like I kind of made a song about it. This song is titled "Kid," so if you haven't heard that one, listen to it.
Acoustic.
It is acoustic. It's me playing the guitar, and the whole song is a letter to my younger self. And basically, the song talks about how like when I was a kid, I really wanted to be a singer. I really looked up to Chris Brown and a bunch of other artists around that time, and I really just wanted to be a singer. And I would teach myself how to sing. I taught myself how to play the guitar, piano, and in school I would play the drums. And I would just tell myself to keep going and follow your gut, and don't listen to what other people tell you, whether they tell you you're not good enough or whatever. Just do what is right for you. And I tell everybody that like you can make a career out of everything nowadays. Little did I know, like in the early 2000s, that the internet was going to control the world, because obviously you don't understand that when you're younger. I'm sure like adults back then could figure that out, But man, things have changed so much. And honestly, I would just tell my younger self I'm proud. You know what I mean?
That's what it's all about, man. And I'm happy that you are reaching that stage of being proud with who you are now because, by listening to your music, by hearing your story, it definitely sounds like you went through a lot of hardship. I was watching, and I observed that you were making music at a young age and you were posting videos on YouTube. And in a sense, you got bullied out of it. You got bullied out of it. You got a lot of negativity towards you. I wanted to ask you, what made you go back into it, and how long was that layoff? How did you deal with silencing what you were hearing, the outside noise?
Okay, so I stopped my freshman. I started in 8th grade, the end of 8th grade. So we're talking like end of 2011 or early 2012, and I stopped mid 2013. I was a freshman in high school when I stopped. About to become a sophomore. So from sophomore to honestly until I'll say a senior, because even though after my senior year I still didn't record for another 2 years later, I was still writing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll count that like writing counts as being an artist, because just because I wasn't confident enough to record yet, I was still writing songs. But what I used to do is I used to, like, in math class, because I hated math, I would write raps.
Okay.
I used to write nothing but raps. And so all throughout my high school thing, I would still write the music. It's just I never was like, yeah, this is just cool. I'll pull this out at a party when the guys start freestyling. Every guy group does that.
Yeah, bro. I freestyle. Listen, we can get the freestyle going later.
Every guy does that, bro. They get a group of buddies, they get drunk or whatever, and they're like, yo, what you want to do? Yo, throw on a YouTube beat. That's exactly how it goes. Yo, every guy that's watching this, I know you can relate.
That's the shit.
And really what made me start again is I had this English teacher, and I'm going to shout her out. Her name was Miss Jackson. She changed my life.
I'm sorry, Miss Jackson.
Yeah. That was the ongoing joke, too. No cap. But no, she was amazing. She was my English teacher. And she would assign poetry every week. And it was spoken word poetry. So it wasn't like your usual poetry. And all I did was play video games. I didn't care about school. I just focused on my video games. So the only thing I was worried about was like, yo, I got to get this rank to unlock. Yo, I got to prestige. Yo, this and that.
God.
Yeah, exactly. And so I would write these poems the day they were due while people were presenting their poems that they had finished, at the beginning of the week. I would write my poem right there in front of her.
Wow. That's an extreme sport right there.
Eventually, she caught me doing it.
Uh-huh.
So she would call me out and make me present what I had written down. And when I did, I don't remember how any of them go. That was like 8 years ago. But when I would, she would just she would write down in her book and she'd be like, okay, you can take a seat. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, I failed. When the last day of school came and everybody had left the class, she asked me to stay after. And I thought she was going to tell me that I failed.
Wow. Okay.
But she actually pulled me to the side and she said, Mr. Trimmer, I just want to let you know that I've seen a lot of kids come through my class and write these poems. And she was like, but I have never had a kid at your level write the poems that they do right in front of me on the spot.
Wow.
She's like, and trust me, I tried to give you plagiarism. I tried to make sure that this wasn't somebody else's work. She's like, it really blows my mind that your mind works this way. And she was like, so whatever you want to do with life that involves your writing, she was like, I don't know who told you weren't good enough. She's like, but I'm telling you, you can do it.
Wow.
Yep. And that sat with me for 2 years.
Chills, bro. I got some chills. That's a great story. Seriously.
She sat with those words sat with me for 2 years. So first I was like, I'm gonna be a writer, because I was like, I'm not good at singing. I'm gonna be a writer. I'll write a book. I'll write a poetry book. And then as time went on, I was like, I really don't care for writing as much as it would take me to write a book. I was like, but I really love music, and music you have to write. And I was like, I'll just start writing songs and see if I can do that. So that's really where that started.
Wow, man. That is, and what, that was you graduating or
Yeah, that was 2016.
2016, and she told you that, man. That's actually pretty sick. So because of her, she basically gave you that confidence to get back into it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Despite the singing, it's all writing, she really embodied you and gave you that, man. So that's great to hear, man. I'm happy you got yourself out of that and out of the funk, because look at you now, man. It seems to be working. Have any of those people who may have doubted you in the past reached out to you and said,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't give no names, but yeah,
Of course not.
they have.
All right. Well, yeah, that's good, man. At least, I'm sure you didn't need that affirmation from them, but it's
No, I
pretty.
replied with a laughy face.
My G. My
Nah, for
G. I
real, bro.
respect it. I've missed.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's great, man. So, I was, just watching the interview and I heard that, through your musical process, making music, you started out with, correct me if I'm wrong, but a Guitar Hero microphone?
Yes, sir.
That's fucking insane. PS4, huh?
PS3.
PS3. Okay. Excuse me. So you started with a microphone of a PlayStation and you worked off of Audacity.
I did.
Wow, man. And
Bro really did his research. He really meant it.
yeah, man, I wasn't fucking lying, bro. I was sitting there listening to it.
Nah, I
I'll
love
be
that,
checking
bro.
it out, man.
I love
And here you are now. So for you to start off with that equipment and continue on, I think that's absolutely incredible, man. And you can sit back and think about those simpler days, like, damn, bro, I really started this shit with a PlayStation microphone. That's surreal, man.
Yeah,
Good
sometimes
for you.
I say I want to get back to when I was a kid in the basement because I was just saying on my way up to my buddy off camera, I was just like, back then I feel like I loved making music so much more than I do now. And what I mean by that is like back then I didn't even have 100 people listening to me. Now I have a couple thousand people listening to me. So when I drop something that I might experiment with, it's like, oh, Toxic, that's trash. Oh, Toxic, I'd rather hear this from you. And it's just like, I can't even imagine when I get onto the scale that I like desire to be at, what it's gonna be like. Cause like people are gonna be like, whoa, Toxic decided to wear a cross ring today, and Toxic decided to wear a black hat today, and it's like it's like your whole life, you can't go on without being judged for what you're doing. That's how it is right now for my music. So eventually, when I get to where I want to be, I can only imagine, bro.
There's always going to be judgment, man, and it's one of those things that you just got to block out the outside noise as hard as best as you can, man. And I feel bad for some individuals who just constantly get that light, and they're just like, I'm just trying to live my life, bro.
Yeah.
Even as a podcaster, I think I'm gonna be okay, if and when I make it, because I don't think anyone bombards podcasters in the street like that, so I'm okay. It's different for you though.
Yeah.
It could potentially be different for you. So let me talk about this. I saw Exposing Toxicc. I was reading an article, 570 Mob.
Yes.
570 Mob. And, it said right here that you are turning emotions into lyrics. Okay. That is what you try to do as you're making music. You want to turn your emotions into lyrics. And from listening to your music, you have a lot of sad songs. You have a lot of songs that come from the heart. I also read that you battled with an addiction as well as heartbreak at a very young age. With that being said, you have to tap yourself back into those moments, right? You have to tap yourself back into those dark places and mentally be prepared for that. How do you mentally prepare yourself for that? And how do you pull yourself out of that deep, dark, creative space? It's creative, but I'm sure it hinders on your mental health.
Man, you're asking me questions. That's good.
That's what I do.
Honestly, I try to just step away from music sometimes, and the way I do that is like I go do things I enjoy outside of music. So like video games, hanging out with friends, basketball, going for walks, just enjoying nature, stuff that like I enjoy as a person and not an artist. That's really how I like try to just walk away from the things that bother me. When I make music though, like I usually don't leave the studio feeling like there's nothing left unsaid, because I've only been in the studio with a select amount of like artists, but every artist is different. I'm the type of artist that like, you give me 6 hours, I'm gonna probably make 15 songs.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, and I'll keep going. And like, even after the 15th, I'll be like, yo, let's keep going. Throw another beat on. And like, I don't have to overthink songs, because like just let the melody speak to me, and then I just say what the melody makes me feel. That's pretty much it. So like when I'm in a studio, it's like a full like therapy session for me.
So you pull yourself out of that, you put yourself back into there, whether it be hardship and problems. Would you mind expanding on some of the hardship that you experienced while you were young? And maybe if there was a song that while you were mid-writing or mid-recording, you just like maybe broke down in tears, bro. Because I'm sure it's hard to go into that atmosphere. We had an artist, her name was the artist Chico. She's a painter. She's a muralist. She made this for me. And her art embodies all emotion. Her t-shirt, her brand. Shout out, hold on, time out. Shout out Exposing Toxic t-shirt, by the way. Okay, bro. I appreciate you for giving, or
Yes, sir,
Expose
bro.
Toxic, excuse me, t-shirt. Appreciate you for giving me this, man. I love when people bring me some merchandise here. So thank you very much. I'm gonna have to get you a hat.
Yeah, it's all
Um,
love.
but back to the artist of Chico, her shirt says, "I have a lot of emotions, as well as so do you. You embody that emotions through your music." But was there ever a song that just like go ahead.
I did. So I won't dive too much into it because honestly, that could be a whole episode itself. But I grew up in a physically, mentally abusive home, and honestly, a poverty home. Like bills being cut off, like really the hardships that you hear rappers talk about. Like I've been there, like roaches, bed bugs, hot water on the stove, stuff like that. Like opening the oven for some heat. Like I've been there, done
Mm,
that, slept in winter coats, all of that as a young child. So I understand, the hardships and what it's like to really be like at rock bottom. I've also been like homeless. So like I understand those things. And I've also had a drug addiction when I was a senior in high school because that was around the time I just really hated life and didn't want to be alive anymore, if we're
mm,
being frank about it, right? So I understand what it's like to be at the bottom. So that's why I only focus on what's at the top. You know what I mean? So but as far as songs, yes, so the song is titled Bad Memories. It's track one of Am I All Right? And the reason the song made me cry is because while I was working on the album, one of my grandmothers, my great grandmother, she means the world to me. She had got diagnosed with cancer.
mm.
And she lives in Florida, so I didn't see her much in my life. But I went down to Florida to see her. It was my last time seeing her. And it was so like I'm looking back at it now, but I just remember how I felt during that moment. When I knew it was goodbye and my flight was in the morning, I gave her a hug and I told her, I said, Nan, because I call her Nan. I said, Nan, I'm gonna do everything that I can to make sure that the future generation of this bloodline will be successful. And I was like, I'm gonna conquer my goals. And even though you won't be here to see it, I want you to know I'm still gonna do it.
Mhm.
And then she looked me dead in my eyes, and the last word she said to me, she said, I know you'll conquer everything that you set out to be. She's like, I know you'll be great. And I remember that I couldn't even like listen to her finish the sentence because like I knew it was the last thing I was gonna hear from her. And I just busted down in tears and I like ran out of the house because I was like, no, I can't do this. And that was in 2021. And I was working on the album, Am I All Right? I came home and a week or two later, I got the call that she had passed away. And then I made that song, Bad Memories.
Wow, man.
Yep.
And while you're making that song, you're definitely keeping your grandmother's name and words within your heart, and it can bring that emotion out.
Yep. I even said it in the song that I got a call that my grandma died. So yeah, that whole song, like I'm screaming the lyrics. I'm like, I'm fucked up in my head.
Hmm.
Listen to the song. It's a very like you can feel the pain of what I'm saying.
I'm gonna have
It's
to,
it's
man.
track one is the opener to that album called Am I Alright? It's the one where I'm laying down on the ground and it looks like I'm like buried.
Yes, because you were pretending like you were murdered,
Yep.
and the new you was arriving. Right? Yeah.
Yes.
I'm on the money, bro. I'm on the fucking
Yes.
money.
Yes.
I'm on it, bro. I'm on it. So, have you ever shared? I know you've done a couple of shows, but have you ever shared an experience or maybe gotten some fan mail? Because through your music, you're trying. I have it right here. You wanted to give people a platform. Use your voice. Use your voice to let them know that they're not alone. Have you experienced any fan mail or any experiences after the show where someone just came up and really just shared a vulnerable moment with you, like just
Yes.
a stranger, an individual who made you feel like shit, man, like I'm achieving my goal, I'm achieving what I set out to do.
Yes. Last year I had a show and it was at a place called Phantom Power in Millersville. And excuse me. And when I was on the show, nobody knew who the hell I was at all. But when my beat dropped, people turned their heads and paid attention. And it was a 45-minute set, and I just was on there on myself. I was really just being myself. I was like, I wrote this song for this, and really gave people a reason to relate to the music. And when I hopped off stage, I had a lot of people come up to me, but I had this one girl come up to me. She was bawling her eyes out, and she came up and she was like, "Can I give you a hug?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." And she gave me a hug. I gave her a hug back, and she said, "I love your music. It means so much to me. I battle with addiction. I battle with loss, and it really just felt like your lyrics were talking to me." And then I said, "Thank you. That means the world." And she said, "Can I see your hand?" So I gave her my left hand,
Hmm.
and she took this bracelet off of her wrist and put it on my wrist. And she was like, "I just want you to have this so that when you see it, you remember that you're not alone."
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Another set of chills just came through my body, bro. Another set of chills.
Yep.
That's amazing, man. For you to be able to see what your music's providing for the people, man. It's got to feel surreal. Especially with your journey being as long as it is. I was reading, I was listening. I heard that you didn't finish high school. You mentioned you were battling with addiction. At one point, you didn't want to live, and then you went back. You got your GED, and then you went to a music school. And really changed your life. You set the course. You set the career. You got your career going with the music by doing that. And kudos to you to be able to even just go to a different school and realize that that's what you wanted to do, and you pursued what you needed to have on a resume to be like, yo, this is what I'm doing. So great for you, because I know a lot of individuals who would just go out and learn by themselves in an unprofessional setting, which is fine. You can still do that, but for you to do that on a professional setting and get that experience is really good for you, man. So kudos,
Yeah,
man.
I appreciate that. I really went to college because I wanted to learn the business, because I understood the type of person that I was becoming. I understood that my drive was unmatched at that time. I still believe it's unmatched within myself. Like I can only like outwork myself. And really, I was just like, I need to go learn the business side, because I know that one day the labels will be calling, and I'm gonna have to know what's gonna screw me over and what's not. And well, I'm glad I did, because that did happen. So luckily, I didn't sign no deals, because I probably would have been fucked.
Are you actively looking into deals? Are people reaching out to you, or is it something that maybe you're turning away to and want to just become an individual artist, an independent artist?
I'm still in the middle.
Okay.
It's hard for me because, like, yo, I want to be Drake level.
Okay.
And in order to be Drake level, you have to be signed. You know what I mean? But then, there's, it's so hard to decide. So right now, I'm really just doing my own thing, because obviously we know how labels screw over other artists.
Hmm.
So honestly, I'm at a crossroads with it. So I'm just gonna do whatever. If a song blows up and it's enough to make me an independent, I'll just stay independent.
Yeah.
But if a song blows up and I feel like it's a one hit wonder, for if I stay independent, then I might have to sign a label.
A lot of evaluation there, man. Do you have people in your circle who you consult to when it comes to things such as that?
Um, the people in my circle, they want to stay fully independent.
Okay.
So they understand my goals, and they know like based off of like what they've seen me do, they know that I'm going to like become like Drake level. Maybe not like where Drake is right now, but like
Hmm.
where Drake was like in 2015. That's where I'm trying to be. Like I'm comfortable with being Drake before Drake became the number one. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
but my goal is to be like a number one selling artist. Like I want to be like like a Drake, Justin Bieber type of person, like a household name.
I
You
like
know what I
that,
mean?
man. What is Expose Toxic's mantra? What's your mantra, bro?
Mantra as in what?
Like, what
Explain
do
that
you
more.
what do you embody? I mean, I have a quote that I pulled off from that 570 mod, and I'll just give you it right
Yeah,
here.
yeah, no,
But
that is the quote. That definitely still is my quote.
so it is. We all live in the darkness of our minds, so why not try to be someone else's light?
Yep.
That is your mantra.
Yep, that and the other one you said earlier, turning emotions into lyrics. Those two.
Okay. Do you have any of those like tatted on you, bro? I'm sure you do.
No, I don't. I
No.
don't yet. No, I have just "Will I be okay?" This is kind of, or I will be okay. This has kind of become my new mantra in like the last year, because I got this tatted on me last year. So yeah, I would say maybe this one will be my new mantra.
I will be okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
that's a great mantra. I don't know what my mantra is. I mean, I have this one tattoo that says "Sleep in a dream, walk in a nightmare," which is like when I'm asleep, I'm living a dream. When I'm awake, I'm living a nightmare. But this isn't really a nightmare for me, man. It's real morbid, but it's just one of those things, just thinking tattoos from here are like points in my life where I was, and I can remember where I was when I thought about saying that and having that on me. So that's the beauty within tattoos, man. So I wanted to move on to your social media presence, bro. Kudos to you, bro. I'm clapping right now, bro. Your social media presence is just it's exactly what I'm looking for, man, because you have all these reels, you have constant things that you're posting, man. I remember you were going on a run which was releasing a song a day. until you blow up. And, that is just such a commitment, man. And consistency is key. Here at the Middleman Podcast, we focus on consistency, and to see an artist or someone doing that on the same level on their own respective playing field, bro, I'm absolutely in awe by it. So your social media presence is absolutely amazing. Where do you get your ideas from for making these reels? Is a lot of it self-generated? Do you do a lot of it on your own?
I would say like most of it is inspired from like I don't copy, but I'll take inspiration from other artists. One way that you have to be successful is steal from other artists, but to make what you steal your own. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can steal inspiration and ideas, but like don't copy like word for word and the way like some people do that. That stuff's weird. But like like let me think. Like somebody designed a hat already. But like obviously to be successful you have to design your own merch too. So like that's stealing somebody else's idea that already existed. You know what I'm saying? And that's like the most common in the world because like obviously humans need clothes. So like but that's like the most common. Or like the podcast. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody else started a podcast. Really radio stations back in the early 2000s were pretty much podcasts. But like whoever came up with that idea to be a radio person probably back in like what the 50s, 40s whenever people were first doing that. Like look how far that idea has come to today's generation. And that was all because, it got recycled and stolen, if you want to say that. But you just make it your own. So
Exactly.
really that's what I do with my content too, is like, and sometimes I'll come up with something that's just straight my idea. Like you have to do those things too.
I have one that I believe is your idea, and I mean you manipulated it. It's an idea that it's a well-known idea, but you manipulated it as your own, and I think it's really clever. It's the next thing we're going to talk about. But your social media presence, bro. I wanted to ask you. You were doing that one song a day until you blow up. How long did that last, and how did that affect your mental? How did you feel doing that? Was it tiring? Was it rejuvenating? Was it exhilarating? What is it? What was it?
So actually, bro, the only reason they stopped is because my computer took a dump. So I'm getting a new computer. That's the only reason. Like my computer can't hold the RAM has like slowly got shot. So like it's hard for the RAM to record my screen and also record my lyrics and do everything I needed to do all at once. So now I just use it strictly to record. So like I'm in the process of getting a new computer. I'm just trying to figure out what model and brand that I want. But that's really the only reason it stopped. Honestly, if I'm being quite honest with you, I was already doing songs a day before I was recording myself.
Okay, yeah.
I record like on average, like of course I take like a day off here and there, but like on average I record at least 3 songs every day. I've been doing that since 2021 or 2021.
So you got things in the vault for years.
Oh, I have hundreds of songs. Hundreds. I probably have like 400 or 500 songs, maybe even more than that, honest to God. Yeah. So like those songs a days, I was just like, what if I just start recording myself doing it? Because like all you have to really do for those is just record the hook, and not every hook is great. I wasn't expecting every song to get numbers. But it's just like, why not? Another thing is like I don't think people fully grasped about that whole concept and series is that all of that was freestyle. Like none of that was written down. Like you're catching me listening to the beat for the first time ever, and I'm just recording what comes to my head.
You'd be like, oh, I like that. Okay, hold on.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great shit. That's good shit to see, man. That's kudos to you, man. I was hearing that your social media presence has opened up avenues for you, such as potentially speaking to Travis Barker.
Yep.
Made in Toyo. I know him. I know one song by him. It's a really good song. So it's just the power
Uber
of social
everywhere.
media. What's that?
Uber everywhere.
No, not that one.
No,
Not that one. No. Made myself or made by myself, something like that. And that is a really good song, man. So social media has opened up these doors for you, man, and it's absolutely amazing. You're on the TikTok. I don't use TikTok. I mean, I should.
It's so burning, dude. It's so freaking. Talk about burnout.
Yeah. Social media is exhausting, and someone told me one of these days, DJ Q, he had mentioned, he's like, dude, like, no one's got a gun pointed at your head, so when it comes to social media and doing things like that and feeling like you have to do a consistency, you shouldn't let go of that drive to be consistent, but also you got to give yourself a little bit of a credit, credit to where it's due, and just be like, all right, what, I'm doing all right, bro. I don't need to post this. I should post it, but it's one of those things. Social media is just one of those constant battles, bro, of fucking having to figure out. It's so annoying to figure out this fucking quote unquote algorithm. You were talking about how you were taking B-roll shots and you would put your lyrics on top of it, and it's a beautiful sky and they blow up, right?
Yeah.
the Middleman Podcast did something like that too, and those reels were so easy and they fucking blew up. And what I use is I didn't go out and actually record. I use stock free videos, and
Yep.
it's the way to do it, guys. I'm telling you, the algorithm will eat that shit up. I'm
Yeah,
telling you, they will eat it up. I don't know why, but people love a starry sky with a little bit of a beat in the background. And
I know why.
Why?
I know why. Because people on social media, most of the time, and this isn't any disrespect, it's just really the truth. Everybody that usually scrolls, they don't really have much going on at the time, so they can't relate to the fancy lighting, the fancy color grades, this and that. They feel like they can't relate to it as much. Yeah, they'll watch it, they'll pay attention to it because it's eye catching, but like it might be hard for them to like really grasp what's going on in that video when you just pull your phone up and you're like, yo, what's up guys, I'm here. You know what I'm saying? It feels more authentic to the viewer because you like anybody could do that. Like they could do that right now. You know what I'm saying? So it feels more relatable when it's less effort, and that's why the algorithm picks it up.
It's amazing the way Instagram works, bro. I swear, man. It's annoying at times too. So I wanted to talk about one of your songs that I'm a big fan of personally. It's in the playlist. Is 123.
Okay.
Now 123 is it's a song that you have featured with two other individuals. And I believe you're just on the hook, correct?
Yep.
All right. Well, I love that song.
Thank
that
you,
song
bro.
is really, really sick. Would you mind telling the hook here for the people? I'm sure you have it locked away in the memory, right?
Yeah, it says, I had one too many, but I'm not done. 2 long nights and it's just begun. 3 little words that ended it all. When did things go wrong? She
Yeah,
said,
bro, that shit's
"Let's
fucking
break
steady."
up." Yeah.
I love it, man. So your social media, right? You were doing these reels, you were doing these things, and one that I came across and I loved it, and I want you to keep doing it.
Okay.
Is you did a genius, but you did a DIY genius of the lyrics and explaining it and all of that, bro. That was genius. Literally, that was brilliant.
I'm glad you brought that up, bro, because literally, I think it was like sometime in this recent week, I was like, yo, I need to start doing those again.
Yeah.
I don't see nobody doing those. And there's so many lyrics that I want to break down that like, I feel like, because I'm not a rapper, I never claimed to really be a rapper, but it's just like so many things I say just whoop, right over people's heads.
Yeah.
Like they really don't understand what I'm saying, and they just hear like a simple bar, but they're not really understanding exactly what it is I'm saying. So yeah, no, I do want to do that more.
Get back to that, bro. That was absolutely brilliant.
I appreciate that, bro.
And you were like, I'm not famous enough for Genius to want to dissect my lyrics. As a matter of fact, you know how Spotify does the Spotify rap shit, right?
Yep.
I did my own Spotify Wrapped because Spotify didn't ask me to address my viewers, address my listeners, to let them know how much I appreciate them watching, what my numbers are, stuff like that. So I did that upon myself, and I was like, when I saw your video, I'm like, yeah, no, it's the same thing, So good for you on doing that, bro. I'm a big fan, and definitely get back to that because you are a lyricist. You like to you and immerse your emotion through your lyrics, and it portrays, and a lot of people, as you said, right over the head.
Yeah.
And I think if you did that, a lot of people would have more of an appreciation for the messages that you're trying to get out, because your messages are powerful. Now, I will say, I was looking through your discography, right? And I ran into it at last minute. Was you were releasing EPs, A Piece of Me. Okay, A Piece of Me, 1 through 5. Could you care to? I didn't have the time to listen to it. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
you're
definitely gonna have to listen to it on my free time. But would you care to expand what that series is, where it came from, what it originated, and what is the message that you are portraying through those EPs?
I'm glad you brought this up because yeah, I was waiting for somebody to ask me about these. A Piece of Me, they were really just throwaways that I had on my computer, but they were throwaways that I could believe had potential to really be something. So I came up with this concept where I was going to release 3 songs every month, I think it was, or every 2 weeks. I don't remember how I did it, but whatever it was one of the two. I would release 3 songs, and every 3 songs had a similar vibe to the next. So my piece 1 is like straight rap, and like I'm saying real shit in those songs. And piece 2 is like my melodic, like hip hop rap. Piece 3 is the same thing, and then piece 4 is kind of like, pop alternative rock type of thing.
Sorry.
No, you're good. And that's pretty much what those are. So the point is like I was eventually going to drop the Piece of Me for the entire year, And then at the end of the year or some point in that year, I was gonna put all of it together and make it like a waterfall effect type of album. But I don't know why I just stopped doing it. I think it's because eventually I was just making new songs that I was just like, you know what, I got the throwaways out that I wanted out. These other ones I really don't. I like if I fucking die one day and somebody comes across my hard drive, there they are. But like as far as me putting them out, it's not gonna probably happen. So yeah, that's pretty much how the Piece of Me's came. And the reason I named it Piece of Me is because, you know, they were songs that I didn't feel so confident with. So I felt like I was giving a piece of my insecurities
Yeah,
to people.
of the rawness, of the
Exactly.
grittiness of the creative process. I
Yeah.
get what you're saying, man.
And I always try to make sure that each piece of me had a feature on it, one feature. So yeah.
I did see you have a few feature artists who you work with. Who's one of the artists that you work with more often than not?
It's my boy Sharez for
Yes,
sure.
that's the name, Chavez.
Yeah, for sure. That's my dog.
Where's the relationship between you two? You guys known each other for a while now?
We actually knew each other since high school. We didn't start talking like as friends or like colleagues or anything until 2020.
I like that, man.
But
Good for you.
he's definitely a man as part of my team for sure.
I saw that you were, talking about making clothing, angels and outcasts. Fashion is one of your biggest things. How's that coming along? Is that still something that you were pursuing?
As far as Angels and Outcasts, that's kind of on the back burner. I have like thousands of designs that's just sitting in a folder on my computer, but I haven't touched them since 2017.
Hmm.
But I kind of take my design into my merchandise. All my merch I made, like I designed that shirt that you made or
Mhm.
you're wearing. I designed that bag that you saw me bring in.
Can we get that bag? Can we showcase
yeah.
that bag, please?
Yeah. I made that bag yesterday.
I like it, man.
I made the bag literally yesterday. But yeah, I made that whole design on Photoshop, sketched it up,
Not that one, Michael, the white one.
and did all that. And yeah, so I guess my merchandise really is just where we're at.
Something you're
Thank
working
you, bro.
towards, man. Yeah, let's show that off there. The Call of Duty with the sniper there.
Yeah. I don't know
I
how
like
well
it.
this could see it, but yeah, this is a little design I have. This isn't like a logo for that I go by. I actually have an actual logo, but I just like the aesthetic of it.
Mhm.
And then the back is a little crosshair Toxic logo.
Yeah, I like that bag, bro. That shit's smooth. Definitely a summer bag. Something you keep the twisted tees inside.
Yeah,
You know what I
thank
mean?
you,
I love it. I love it. So, one last question I wanted to ask you, man, because I
sure.
did see it through another interview, and you had mentioned that you like being an entertainer and a friend.
Yeah.
How do you keep the two worlds? How do you interlock the two worlds? Sometimes some people they don't want to be friends with everyone that they entertain because it could be a dangerous aspect. But how do you go about that and just keeping you within the music as an entertainer and a friend? Really exposing who you are as an individual.
To be honest with you, when I first started, it might have been hard in ways of like, I was just shifting as a person. But honestly, I'm the same person. Really, like
Mhm.
Expose Toxic and Zach, they're the same person. The only thing I would say is different is that Zach is a little bit more insecure about himself, and Expose Toxic is extroverted. You know what I'm saying? Like
That's crazy.
that's pretty much it. Like when I like Zach is backstage thinking, "Oh my god, I'm about to go on stage in front of 800 people." And then Exposed Toxic steps foot out of the curtain onto the stage and it's almost like a blackout.
Yeah.
But I remember what's going
Mhm.
on. I'm conscious of what's going on, but it's almost like all the anxiety and the feeling I have blacks out. And I'm just doing what I guess God made me to do.
It's like I've had that similar experience. I've done stand-up comedy, and it's just like very nerve-wracking. You're nervous as shit. Even before I get on the show here, every single time with a new guest, I'm nervous as shit. You saw before we started the show, I took some deep breaths. I tried to play some rock band to calm the nerves.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like once you step onto that stage, whatever your platform is, all those jitters tend to go away within the first few words of what you're saying, And it's like, all right, well, we're here, so fuck, we got to do it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's literally what it is for me, man. And being able to just, I'd say Kevin, the Middleman Podcast, the Middleman and Kevin Martinez I try to be the same person, right? But it's hard to do that because, I have to uphold a professional atmosphere when I'm speaking to someone as an interviewer because, you respected my platform mainly because of the professionalism of it, Whether if I start sitting here and I flip the table middle of the show, unbeknownst to your knowledge, it's like, well, what the fuck did I just get myself into? Like an Eric
Yeah.
Andre show, you know? But then we have tea time on the back burner, whereas which you hear a little bit more of who I am and the silliness that you hear from me as a person. But that's besides the point, man. Listen, Zach, Expose Toxicc, we had a fucking fantastic show, man. I really appreciate you coming out to join me here in Scranton on the Middleman Podcast. But before we go, is there anything that you want to let the viewers know? Maybe some new music that's coming out, some performances that you have going on. Where can they find you? We'll have your Instagram already set up, and maybe a positive message for the people sitting and watching at home.
For sure. First thing, got an album, working on it right now. You can expect 12 to 16 songs. Haven't released the name of the album yet, but I will right now.
Oh.
It's going to be titled Misery Loves Company. And I'm not going to give you any songs that's on it. You're going to have to wait for that. Follow me on IG. My handle is exposing.toxic, 2 C's. Positive message for the youth and just for people overall. Just find what it is that you're passionate in life and do it. Just do it. Like, you don't have to work a corporate job. Nobody wants to work a corporate job. And put it this way, anybody that's young that's watching this, and listen, they don't want you to know this, and I could get into a lot of government trouble for this, but it's all good because I'm going to keep it a stack with you. There probably isn't going to be pension or retirement 40 years from now. And 9-to-5s probably aren't going to be a thing 20 years from now. You know what I'm saying? When I was a kid, this didn't even exist. We're talking house phones. We're talking phones on the brick wall, picking it up to talk, or like going to your friend's house and knocking, saying, hey, is so-and-so home?
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't no text messages. So just find what it is that you love, lock in, find ways to make content, study the internet, and make it your own. And just do that shit and stay locked in. Consistency is key. You'll find your life will change in 6 months to a year for sure.
Consistency is key, bro. That's a common fucking phrase here at the Middleman Podcast, bro. And it's the truth of it, man. Find what you're passionate about, love it, do it, and as you just said, there are some worries in the economy. So find your way to stay afloat because we don't want to see you at the down low. But if you are, there's people who are creating platforms, people who are making music to help you resonate and get you out of that funk that you've been in. Because once again, you are not alone. So with that being said, guys, we're going to transition into tea time, not brought to you by, but inspired by Arizona Iced Tea. I am the man in the middle over here with Expose Toxicc, man. I appreciate you coming to the show. And with that being said, everyone, thank you for watching. Peace.
Peace out.